Hello, friendships, and welcome to the We Are Growing podcast. I'm your host, Ava Medina, and I am so happy to welcome you to the show if you are new, or welcome you back if you've been with us for a few episodes here. I am so excited to have each and every one of you here and to share my knowledge in personal growth and self compassion, self love. I really feel this is a topic that doesn't get enough coverage and is just so essential to being your best self and creating your best self and living as your best self. So I'm really happy to have you guys here for the fifth episode of season one. In this little mini series we're doing all about self-compassion. We're covering all sorts of topics on self-compassion. I'm so excited to share them with you. A brief mention before we jump into the episode, though. I have in the last one or two episodes mentioned workbook companions, kind of like workbooks to companions to each episode. I'm so excited to get those to you. They are taking a tad longer than I had anticipated, though. So I do apologize that they are not available yet. I promise I am working on them. I am getting them to you as quickly as I possibly can. I'm also, to tie back into the episode, giving myself some compassion in the fact that I've been doing a lot and taking on quite a few projects. And so this one is taking me longer to get through than I had thought. I am realizing that it is okay. It is the first time I've done it. It's okay to stumble, but I am getting them to you. I did not forget, I promise. Another quick side note is that in episode 2 of the setting goals and change series, I did briefly mention SMART goals and how using SMART goals to create large goals. I have since learned that SMART goal setting is not based in science and could be hindering our ability to set large dream goals. So I do apologize about that or any miscommunication that occurred there. I do still believe SMART goal setting is useful for breaking down big goals into smaller achievable steps. The framework is still good for that, but they are not the best framework for large dream goals. In that case, I definitely suggest checking out Positive Psychology. The book I'm currently reading, which is Big Goals, The Science of Setting Them, Achieving Them, and Living Your Best Life. It is by Caroline Adams Miller. Great author, great book. I'm having a good time. I'm about halfway through it, so I will definitely let you know how it goes in the next episode. But I did want to briefly mention that that smart goal setting was not based in science. So, just take that with a grain of salt if you're using them. And so those were just my two mentions. We're going to jump into this episode. Self-compassion is so good, doesn't get enough coverage. I definitely didn't find it until much later in my journey. And it has been such good. It has done so much good for my life. It has been such a boost to my mental health, to my personal growth. It has been amazing. So I definitely want to bring that to you. It is, of course, personal essay style. This is just my trial and error brought to you. Hopefully it sparks some inspiration or gives you some good knowledge that you might not have had before to help aid you in your journey. And so we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. Cultivating self-compassion, mindset shifts, and inner work. Our first episode was a lot about what self-compassion was and what it was not, debunking a lot of myths. Hopefully that has set a good foundation for you of what self-compassion is. If you haven't listened to it, I definitely would recommend going back and reading, or listening to episode 3. These are done in sort of episode 4. These are sort of done in a mini series quality. So episode 4 through 6 is all about self-compassion. In this episode, we're going to go over that mindset shifts. It's a lot of internal work and some actionable things you can do to help aid that mind work. So we're going to start. We're covering 3 points as usual. And our first point is going to be recognizing and challenging your self-criticism. It always starts where it starts, at the beginning. And we need to understand the structure of our self-criticism, understand how that self-criticism was built. And once we have understood the structure, we can start dismantling. We can start breaking it down until it is no longer there. But if we never stop to address the origins of our self-criticism, then we have no basis for debunking it. We're just like, well, it's just how I think about myself. It's how it always has been, so it must be true. We sort of listen to the voice in our head as an authoritative voice. And if we never stop to question that voice, if we never stop to question our own thoughts, because this is an important little sideline I'm going to put in here, which is we are not our thoughts. Our thoughts just are, but we are not them and they are not us. We can take a step back to observe our thoughts outside of ourselves. And that's what we're doing. We are taking a step back to really look at the self-criticism, that little self-critic in our head, and go, where are you getting your information? Just like we would with any false news, that someone was trying to tell us that there's like, jellyfish in the sky. We're like, okay. Where did you get your news though? Like, how are you backing this up? What is the science? What is the thought? Where is the research for jellyfish in the sky? So that's what we're kind of trying to do here. So I suggest take some time with yourself, journal it out, or just talk aloud, or just like ruminate on the origins of your self-criticism, of your self-judgment. Why do you have those? And it might be for a couple different reasons, like if you have self-criticism, and self-criticism might come from they all might have different origins also. Like your self-criticism about your looks might be because of societal influence, might be because you see on TV and in movies, in magazines, on social media, these examples of what the ideal body type looks like, of what the ideal beautiful person looks like. And you think to yourself, wow, I don't look like that. I'm not 5'9" and 110 pounds. So like, I must be overweight. I must be ugly. I must be all these kinds of mean things that we tell ourselves because it's based on just like societal influence. I'm not seeing myself reflected in other people that are being deemed as the ideal body type. So there must be something wrong with me. But also, is there something wrong with you? Or perhaps social media and the media in general have a thriving business on making you feel insecure. So you buy products. So you buy all these dieting apps. So you buy all these makeups. So you buy all these things. Like, really think about it. Do they have your best interest in heart when they're telling you there's something wrong with you, that your face should be more clear or your waist should be more slim? Like, no, they don't have your best interest at heart. And like, honestly, take pride in your body. It has gotten up every day and been there for you. It does all the things you need it to do. Like, it gets up, it wakes up in the morning, it walks, it does things, it lifts weights, it's doing all these things for you. It's breathing, it's keeping you alive. Your body does so much for you that you just need to start very small, like just appreciating the fact that it got you up a set of stairs, or that it, allowed you to sleep, that you can breathe. This is not, by the way, my apologies if you are like insomniac or perhaps like disabled. But your body still does things for you. And that's the point I'm getting to here. So really question whether or not there's something wrong with your body based off like just what we see in the media. It also might be that your self-critic comes from your upbringing. Perhaps you had really critical parents or really critical grandparents, and that voice in your head might sound exactly like the person who gave you that criticism in the first place. And you just need to identify where it came from. You just need to where did this self-criticism come from? Is it coming from, yeah, those societal influences, what I'm seeing in the media reflected to me? Did it come from my upbringing, perhaps parents, teachers, friends, partners even that have criticized me unjustly? Has it come from my own tendencies for perfectionism? I know my tendencies for perfectionism were exacerbated by school. I was just like told, that there was no learning curve for me, that I had to do something and immediately do it well, or I was failing. I had so many unnecessary pressures put on me in school that I just kind of internalized them and then took them forward in my adulthood. And I am slowly breaking those down. So that might be where it comes from you. Another one, and this sounds like counterintuitive, but also not at the same time, is that it might be a defense mechanism. Like your inner critic might be because you are surrounding yourself with people that you know are going to criticize you. So you think to yourself, well, I'm going to criticize myself first. I'm going to say all the mean things to myself first. That way it won't feel as bad when someone else says it to me. Or like I'm getting a head start because no one can say, things like I say to myself, like I'm my worst critic. But no, that you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. That's not helpful. It's detrimental to your growth. We absolutely shouldn't be. Or if we're comparing ourselves, again, that social media influence, if we're comparing ourselves to others and we're like, well, I don't have what they have. I'm a loser. I'm not achieving what I wanted to achieve. You are achieving it. Comparison is not, it's the thief of joy. The next thing we want to do after we have like recognized the roots of our self-criticism is rewrite that inner script, is question it. Question that validity of the criticism. Like, am I really ugly just because, I'm not 110 pounds? Or am I useless at this sport just because I don't play at a professional level? Like, really think to yourself, what is the validity of this? And then oftentimes our criticism is based on opinions and not facts. So sometimes I will address it with a fact where it says like, you're lazy. You didn't do enough today. And I go, okay. Let me list out everything I did today. And then you just do that. Like if your brain wants to tell you that you're lazy and you're not doing enough, because our society is in a constant state of go, go, go hustle culture. Okay. So write down a list of all the things that you did today. Really fight back that self-critic and go, okay, so like you said, I didn't get enough done today, but I have a list of like 15 things I got done. So I don't think you're based in logic. I think you're just wanting to be mean. Like, I don't think this is actually accurate. My apologies. And then replace it with compassionate language. Like, I think my hair looks terrible today. It's a mess. And you can be neutral at first. You can go, actually, I think my hair looks fine. It's fine, And then once you build that neutrality of everything is okay as it is, we can build on a positive. Actually, my hair looks really nice today. And my hair looks really good. I also believe that a change in how you're approaching something helps. If you're constantly criticizing your body, then I think you need a new wardrobe. Like if you don't like how your body looks, you need a new wardrobe. You need clothes that make your body look good to you because your body is beautiful. Your body is perfect at any size, at any shape, at anything. And if you don't like how it looks, that means that you are not dressing yourself how you want to look, Everything is beautiful about you. You are perfect as you are because this is who you are. So if you don't like how you look or how you are, then just build a plan around it. Get clothes that make you feel good, that make you feel confident, that make you look how you want to look. And if you're not acting how you want to act, then create steps, create patterns, create things that make you act like how you want to act. It's all about combating that and coming up with a plan, but also realizing that that critic is not based in reality sometimes. It is based in this fantasy world where you're always going to be bad at things. And you really have to question that. Do I want to live in this fantasy world where I am terrible at everything? Or do I want to live in reality where I'm a human who is growing and learning? Another thing that really helps with this before we jump into step 2 is normalizing imperfection. It is universal truth that everybody will make a mistake. No one is perfect. No one will go their entire life without making a mistake, without having to learn something, because we are not born learning how to walk or how to talk or even how to eat, really. These are all things that we are taught. So be okay with yourself. Okay with the fact that I don't know everything, and that's okay, because nobody knows everything. Nobody knows how to do everything. There is something that everybody has that they don't like about themselves, and that's okay. We are not perfect. If we were perfect, we would have no room to grow. And again, perfect by whose definition? Because my definition of perfect is going to be different from the next person's, is going to be different from the next person's. There is no such thing as perfection. That is unachievable. It is not based in reality. And that will really help get us into step 2, which is reframing your relationship with yourself. You will need, it helped me to not talk to myself as myself, but to view myself as a friend or as a child. Because when I am trying something new for the first time, or I'm doing something for the first time, I'm a child at it. I'm a little baby at whatever it is that I'm trying to do, because I have never done it before. So approach it as if you were a child learning something for the first time. And when you want to be mean to yourself about your appearance or about what you're doing, think to yourself, would I say this to my inner child? Would I say this to like my toddler, to my 8-year-old self? Would I say this to them? Would I tell them that they're not good at anything, that they're not worth anything, that they're not deserving of anything? No, I would tell them that it's okay. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to fall. You just got to get back up. That really helped me. And I would encourage you to try the same, to really think of yourself as either a good friend or as a child. Like, we wouldn't say half of the things that we say to ourselves to a little kid, because we would know that that was being mean and that was being malicious. So treat yourself like that. Treat yourself like you would a child. And then see how much compassion you can give them. That safe space that we give to others, that we give to friends, to family, to children, to be themselves without condition. Like, I can only love you if you are good at everything. You see how unreasonable that sounds? So how unreasonable is it for us to say that to ourselves? That I can only show you love, that I can only show you compassion if you are perfect, if you do conditional to these things that you do every day. I mean, immediately hearing it, that sounds toxic. We're like, we would tell our friends, like, if you're in a relationship with someone and they only love you or they only show you compassion if you like show up perfect every day, first of all, that's unachievable. And second, like, that's toxic. You need to get out of that relationship. That's kind of the same thing. You need to get out of the relationship with your self-critic. They are not based in logic. They are perpetuating a toxic relationship for you in your head, and you just need to get away from them. So view yourself as a friend or child and give yourself that same safe space that you give to others. It's also letting go of that inner perfectionist. I struggle so hard with this one. But you have to understand, and you have to be real with yourself about the unrealistic expectations that you are setting on yourself. I always used to put myself under the pressure to get it right, to just know everything about the thing that you are doing before you do it. You're building a business, then you need to know everything about the business that you're building before you even start. And that's not realistic. How am I supposed to know everything about this business if I've never done one before? I've never started one, and I need to know everything. I need to know and anticipate every problem and have a solution to everything before it even happens. I can't do that. How am I supposed to know what's going to go wrong if I don't do the thing and do it wrong? It's only by doing it wrong that I know it needs to change. But again, it is letting go of that inner perfectionism. It is so hard. I understand. I struggle with it as well, but it's realizing that your expectations of perfectionism are not based in reality. No one is going to be perfect at anything, at everything. We can hit a really high level of mastery, but that's not to say that one morning you've been baking breads for the last 50 years, that one morning you don't come in and kill your yeast in your bread. So now you made doorstops, or you forgot your bread and now you burnt them. Or you left them out too long and now they're stale. No matter how long you've been doing something, you can hit imperfect parts. None of us is perfect all the time. That is unrealistic. It does not exist in this reality, perfectionism. So trying to achieve it is just giving you an excuse to be mean with yourself. You really need to let it go. It is not something that is achievable. And I understand that, like me saying it sounds really easy. It is difficult. It is a lot of work. But it is also, whenever your brain comes up and is like, you didn't do this right, it was like, well, I did it better than last time. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is past you. So as long as you have done it better than past you, you're winning. You're doing it. You're doing the best that you can. And another way that we can do that, to let go of that perfectionism in ourselves, is to practice gratitude, is to acknowledge when we have done something amazing, to acknowledge our own personal strengths. I never did this until I had to write an essay for a scholarship. And it was like, the essay was like, the prompt, something that you have achieved. Like, what is something that you've persevered through and achieved? And immediately my brain was like, you've never persevered or achieved anything. You're the worst. You are the bad at everything. And I was like, oh, well, shit, like that sucks. But I could not write this essay. I needed the scholarship. So it really had me force myself with money on the line to think there has to be something, right? There has to be something that I have persevered through and that I have done that is that I have done amazing at. Like, there has to be something. And I really had to sit there and think until I finally landed on something. And I was like, oh yeah. And then once I had that first thing, it started coming. Like, all the times that I have persevered through something difficult, through something hard, they all started coming up. And then in the essay, I had to tie that to a personal strength. So it really helped me to sit down and acknowledge my own strengths, my own personal strengths, my accomplishments, and the amazing qualities that I had to use to get there. So I suggest you do that with yourself. And it might start really small. It might just be like, I would just sit and journal with yourself. Just write down one thing. If you can only think of one thing, that's okay. Build up to being able to write 5 or 10 things. But things that you're proud of, that you've accomplished, that you've persevered through, that have been difficult situations in your life and you have come out the other side. Write those down. Acknowledge, force yourself to look at them and go, holy shit, I'm not the worst person ever. I'm not useless. I'm not just taking up space. Like, I have done things that are amazing, that other people wouldn't be able to do, that other people wouldn't have been able to get through. And then take it a step further. All those things you've done, all those things you've accomplished that you are proud of, list the strengths or the skills or the qualities that you needed to use to achieve them. You know, I had to persevere through this. I had to use my knowledge. I had to use certain skills and then build on those, you know, like really set that list of accomplishments and the skills and keep adding to it. Every day that you've done something amazing, that you've persevered through a difficult challenge, write it down and keep a list of your going accomplishments. And whenever you feel like you are failing, you could just skim through them. Skim through that book, through those pages of things that you have, facts that you have acknowledged, that you've gone through, that you have done, that you've come out the other side better for. I often think of the hardest phase of my life. A lot of people will let hard things get them down and be like, well, I can never move on from this. This was something that like broke me. Don't let that be the result of something you've gone through. When you've gone through something really hard and really difficult, use that as the motivator. Use that as the bar for everything else. So when you hit a new point in your life, you're like, wow, this is kind of hard. This is really difficult to get through. Think back to the worst thing you've ever accomplished, the worst thing you've ever gone through and survived, and think to yourself, is this point in my life really difficult? Or do I just think it's difficult? Because I've gone and survived worse. I have persevered through worse things than this. Use that as your motivation, as your bar. Like, this isn't hard. Getting through college, getting this degree, getting through my master's program, this isn't difficult because I've survived so much worse. I have gone through so much worse and gotten to this point where I am in such a better place. So really use those hard moments as the motivator, as the catalyst to accomplish even better things. And practice that gratitude with yourself. Be grateful to your body. If you don't like how your body looks, then just acknowledge every time it does something amazing for you. You know, I got through that workout set. I'm going through, I am making advancements in my sport. I didn't like how my body was. I didn't like how unfit I was. I joined a sport. I kind of sucked at it at the beginning. That's okay. But now a year, 2 years down the line, look how much I've accomplished. I wouldn't have believed that it was possible. Be grateful to your body, to yourself, to your being for showing up for you every single day. And that will take us into step 3, which is going to be embodying self-compassion in your daily practice. So this is going to look like self-compassion affirmations. I'm not the biggest fan of affirmations, but I do feel that they are helpful and necessary. And it's not that I'm not a fan of them. I just don't use them as much as I would like to, but they are so useful. They are so helpful to just sitting with yourself. The best meditative practice I've ever had was where we just laid down and took deep breaths, and the entire meditation, all I did was run through positive affirmations with myself. I am showing up for myself. I am achieving my goals. I am reaching my fitness. I am. It doesn't even need to be like, I am amazing, I am wonderful, although you are. But if that feels bad at this time, if that feels cringy or just unnatural, that's okay. Just sit in the facts. Are you, achieving your health through a sport or through gym? Or are you doing it? Are you showing up? If you're showing up at least once a week, you're showing up. Are you taking steps to achieve your goals, to achieve your change? Then you are doing it. I am striving for my best self. Are you making active steps, active work to reach your best self? Then you are doing it. Start with just facts. You are achieving these things. You are making strides to these things that you want to do. And then slowly start in the positives. Because if you have consistently been striving for your best self for a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, then you're amazing. You are doing the work. You are incredible. You are worthy. You are deserving. Start with neutral affirmations like, I know I am still learning, and then move forward into positive ones. I am worthy of patience. I am worthy of kindness. I am worthy of compassion. I am showing myself patience and kindness and compassion. So, affirmations. Start neutral. Move away from negative. I'm a failure. I can't do anything right. I am a loser. Move forward from those. We don't like those, and we are actively working. I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, we're actively working to grow into our best self, into the best version of us. So use those. Use those facts. I'm not a loser. That's not based on reality. That's just you being mean to me. That's me being mean to myself. But what I'm actually doing based in facts is I'm actively pursuing my health with a sport. I am actively setting goals and making strides towards them every day with little tasks. I am actively taking my my body into consideration, getting water in, getting a skincare routine in, whatever that looks like to you. Replace it with facts, things you are actually doing, because that will feel less cringy than you just like believing in your best self if that's not where you're at right now. So start with undeniable facts. You wake up every day and you go for a run, or you wake up every day and you take, you eat a healthy breakfast. You get all your good protein in the morning. You are actively doing things for yourself, for your betterment. Acknowledge those and start with facts. Another thing that I love to do with this, for this, is going to be journaling. Journaling for that inner reflection. Because you're going to want to uncover your hidden criticism. You might not, it's a learning process. You're going to just be walking one day, be like, oh, I didn't know that I was criticizing myself for that. And then you will grow on that. But a thing that I like to do is at night, I write down what I'm proud of today. What did I do to align with my goals? What did I do that benefited me or somebody else or just the world at large? What did I do that I could be proud of that I accomplished today? And you can start with one, or you can do 2, 3, 5, however many you want. And just write that down. Really acknowledge that you are doing something every day that is amazing. And of course, the best way to counter the self-critic that I have found is not immediately to jump into super positive, everything is amazing, I'm a wonderful person. Because if you've been feeding your self-critic a lot, that immediate opposite jump feels unnatural. It doesn't feel sustainable. It feels like you're patronizing yourself a little bit. And that's okay. If that's where we start, that's where we start, and that's okay. That's where I started. And the way that I countered that was just with facts. We're not bringing opinion into it. We're just looking at the facts. Did I or did I not write the essay, write the article for my business? Did I not write the newsletter? Did I not record the episode? Did I not show up to work every day? Did I not do those things? I did. I was there. I was there for them. I saw myself do them. I did them. I can write those down. I am showing up for myself by going to work, by going to the gym, by joining a sport, by getting out and talking to people, by socializing with friends. I am doing the work. So if we are indulging our self-critic a lot, the best way to counter that, I have found, is with hard facts. I got up, I did these things. These things actively counter what you are telling me. You're telling me that I'm lazy and I don't do anything. Okay, well, I got up and I cleaned the kitchen. So am I lazy, or are you just angry with yourself that you didn't get more done? But like, did you get as much done as you could in the time that you had? Yes. You can also make a plan. Oftentimes, I have found that when I start to over obsess on a particular criticism, it is because I am regretful about the way that I did something. When I'm like, oh, well, you didn't study hard enough for this test, you didn't do enough. It's like, okay, maybe I just really want to study a little bit more so I'm less upset about the grade that I got. Or, you didn't do enough, you didn't practice enough. Maybe that is just you telling yourself reframe. And then usually that's what also helps me with those critics, because it's like, well, you didn't study, so you got, a failing grade on that test. And you can't deny that with facts because you actually did not study. So you're like, okay. I can't counter this one with facts because I actually didn't study. And now my self-critic is telling me that I'm lazy and I'm the worst at my math because I didn't study for this math test. No worries. Use that to build the plan. Next time, for the next math test, I will study. So when your brain goes, you're not enough, it's like, no, I am planning. When it goes, you suck at math, go, no, I just didn't study. And this time I'm going to study for it and I'm going to get a better grade. So when your self-critic wants to obsess on a particular criticism and it's like, well, you didn't clean enough. It's like, okay, well, I already planned for tomorrow to do more cleaning. So am I really just going to beat myself up about it? Like, what is that? That's not going to gain me anything. I'm already doing the thing. Like, I already plan to do the thing. Mindfulness, also so key. I think there's such a wide range in mindfulness. It's about, sitting with your every single thought, and you should use mindfulness the way that best helps you. The way that it best helps me is to really be able to zoom out of my brain process, like zoom out of my thoughts and just observe my thoughts as they're not necessarily, my thoughts are not me and I am not my thoughts. My thoughts just are. So your critic can go, you're lazy. That's just a thought. I'm not lazy. The thought is. The thought is saying that this behavior was lazy, but it's like, I am not my thought and my thought is not me. Disassociate your identity from your thoughts. And then I use mindfulness as a pause. I use mindfulness to create a pause in between the self-criticism and the feeling. So your critic will tell you that you're ugly or you're lazy, and you will think you will immediately have a reaction to that. You will have, that negative feeling, and then you will continue the self-criticism. Take a pause. We won't always be able to stop the critic before it starts talking, but we definitely have a choice to listen. So when it pops up and it's like screaming nonsense at you, take mindfulness to pause, to take that pause, that deep breath, and go, no, I'm not going to listen to you today. I need you to sit down. Alrighty. Another thing, just a couple more points here. Self-compassion is not a quick fix. It is not something that is immediate. It is a long game. It is something that you will build on. But understand that your criticism is not something unchangeable. It is not your hair color, your eye color, or something that is immutable. Your self-critic is something that you learned or that was taught to you, and that we can unlearn, or we can learn new processes. Your self-critic can turn into your cheerleader. This is a process, though, and it will take some time to get there. But it is not something that is concrete. You can change it. You can learn. It is a learned skill we can unlearn. And then, yeah, like we did mention before, self-compassion can bring a little bit of resistance because it can feel unnatural or very self-indulgent. Of course, we already explained self-indulgent is telling you that you're wonderful and you never have to change anything ever. And self-compassion is telling you, I'm going to have respect for you and I'm going to have grace for you as you transition in this journey. As you reach your better self, you're going to stumble, and that's okay. And celebrate your progress. Keep that win list, keep that accomplishments list going. Highlight every small mind shift you have. Just your critic popped up and you took that mindfulness moment, that deep breath, and pushed it down. Acknowledge that. You're the only one following you around constantly in your head. Acknowledge all of the good work that you are doing. You are amazing. It is difficult. You're killing it, I promise. So that will bring us to the end of episode 5. It was a hard one. There were definitely a lot of things that I had to learn. This was a good refresher for me to just rethink on how I've been approaching my self-critic lately as well. But I'll just quickly round up all the things that we spoke about. Our step 1 was, of course, just recognizing and challenging that self-critic. Where was this criticism born? And does it actually have any validity? Are there any facts behind this? Because most often there aren't. It's just you being mean to yourself. So recognize, find the origins of that self-criticism, the hill that it was built on, and dismantle it, question it. The second one is just using that to reframe your relationship with yourself. Viewing yourself as a friend or child, to let go of that perfectionism, of that feeling that you should know everything or do everything perfectly right, and normalizing that everybody's imperfect. No one's perfect. We would have nowhere to grow. That's okay. And using self-compassion in daily practices. So some good self-compassion affirmations based in facts usually are my best bet. So neutral and then positive, journaling with yourself, and really having that mindfulness for self-acceptance. So we are challenging and we're recognizing and challenging our self-criticism. We're reframing our relationship with ourselves, and we are embodying self-compassion through daily practices. All right, everyone. This was a good episode, a little hard to get through. Personally, just so many things hitting home and resonating. I hope that it resonated with you. I hope that it gave you a new perspective. And I am just so glad that you joined us back. Come back next Monday. We'll be here wrapping up our final episode on self-compassion. And this one is going to be all about harnessing self-compassion for our personal growth. I am so excited to talk about that one. It really ties the theme in together back to just achieving your best self. I'm so happy you could join us. That is going to be it for today. And remember, we are growing. It's okay to make mistakes. We are not giving up. We are continuing to reach for our best self because we are worthy. We are deserving. We are beautiful, passionate individuals chasing our goals and achieving them. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next Monday. Bye.